This is the project proposal for CSE412 database management by Group 21, and you can see the names who are involved in this group down below. My name is Jacob Watson, and I'm the one who's going to be giving this video presentation. What we're planning on doing for our project that we're going to be working on throughout this semester is a COVID statistics web app. The New York Times has posted some data online, specifically onto GitHub, that shows various statistics and potentially trends for COVID across the United States. This data would be extremely useful for the public to browse through and make their own connections and basically tell them about the dangers of COVID. And I think the public would really appreciate if we made an application. Plus, this would be a very good project to do for this class since there's a ton of data that we can use. There's a ton of relationships that are just waiting to be made. Later on, we're going to discuss the specifics of how this data is organized, but it's organized in such a way that if needed, we could add some additional data and add some additional relationships onto what we already have, just because of the general way that the New York Times organized their data. So we could include extra data sets down the line. So for our web app, specifically what we were planning to do was have various visualizations like the one shown on screen, where we list COVID cases, COVID deaths by county or by state, and potentially make comparisons between counties in different states. Additionally, provided in the New York Times COVID data is some mask usage data. We would be able to make some correlations between the case count and the death count for states and counties, and make some correlations with the mask data and show the public that wearing masks is a good idea and it would reduce the amount of cases and deaths of COVID. This is our ER diagram. Basically, the New York Times data comes in two different tables. On the left, you have deaths and cases, which are keyed by the date that these deaths and cases were recorded under, and then the FIPS number that these deaths and cases were recorded under. The FIPS is just a special geographical ID that allows us to pin down the specific county that these cases and deaths were recorded under. On the right-hand side is the second table that's provided. This is only keyed by the county FIP number. It isn't updated by date. It was just collected all at once. Basically, what we have going on here is a one-to-many relationship. You might have only one entry for mask data because it was recorded all at once. And then on the left-hand side, we might have multiple deaths and cases per county because, they're updated as time goes on. The specific implementation details. Basically, we're just going to be making a web app, right? So we're going to be using a web stack. This would include Nginx, or however you pronounce it, that would host our web server, that would handle the client connections, the server-to-client connections. It would handle optimization. If we needed to provide big files that the user had to download, we could optimize that. We're going to be using React and JavaScript, of course, to actually make the UI of the web app so people can interact with it. React is really useful for this because it's purpose-built for making user interfaces for the web, and it's really easy to work in. Plus, me, Jacob, and another one of our team members have experience in React, so we thought that this would be a good choice. For the visualization side of things, we're going to be using a JS library called d3.js. It's basically just a visualization library. It's a very bare bones visualization library, so we might end up using something that's a little bit easier to work with, but D3 would allow us to get the county view or make whatever visualization that we wanted. We're of course going to be using PostgreSQL in order to handle the SQL. That's one of the requirements. And additionally, depending on what we might do, if we want to do a static web page or a dynamic web page, we may or may not be using Express.js. Basically, that's for JavaScript. That's just it serves up web pages, essentially. It sort of Express is the thing that you would put on top of Nginx, the web server, and Express would be able to load in data and basically act as the middleman between the SQL and the JavaScript. And that is basically our project. That is our proposal. COVID data. Thanks for watching.